Hello everybody, and today I will be reviewing Barking Dogs Never Bite, which is a South Korean comedy, dark comedy, and it came out in the year 2000, and it is the feature film debut of the director Bong Joon-ho. The plot follows two main characters, one of them Yoon-ju. He is an unemployed professor who's so annoyed by the dogs barking in his apartment complex that he starts taking some drastic measures by abusing and kidnapping dogs. Yes, he's a jerk. And the second main character in the story is Hyun-nam, who is a bookkeeper in this apartment complex, and after several dogs go missing, she decides to investigate this matter. Now, this is the main plot, but there are a lot of other little things going on in the story as well, and Bong Joon-ho himself said this about the film.
I know, it's a very, very stupid black comedy.
No.
I agree, and then...
As I already mentioned, one of our main characters, Yoon-ju, does some pretty terrible things to dogs, so I instantly hated him. And he also lives with his pregnant wife, who is the only provider of the house, and she is quite abusive towards him, and although she does go a little bit overboard from time to time, it is understandable, so I was totally rooting for her. But thankfully, we have our other main character, Hyun-nam, who's a better and a more likable character, and scenes with her and her best friend who works at a kiosk were actually a lot of fun. The movie also has some other characters that appear from time to time in the story, and each one of them is weirder than the other. For example, the janitor guy, he also, without getting into spoilers, does some messed up shit as well. However, the janitor guy does provide a great scene in this movie where he tells this urban legend about Boiler Kim. This was not only a little exciting, spooky story, but it was also a way to comment on an issue like using cheap materials to build an apartment complex. Yes, Bong Joon-ho loved commenting on issues, pointing at issues ever since his first feature film. Unfortunately, as a comedy, dark comedy, this movie wasn't all that funny to me, but there were some couple of good moments anyways. Also, the lack of action by our character Hyun-nam at certain points of the film didn't make much sense to me. Like, there are hints for who the perpetrator might be. She could do some things to find out who he is, but she doesn't do all that much. There is also a scene towards the end of the film with both of our main characters, which kind of led to nowhere. It was confusing, and it didn't provide any sort of a closure for the plotline. I also look at this film with this notion. Okay, it's Bong Joon-ho's first feature film. It's this guy's first feature film attempt, and he managed to tell a story in this limited space of the apartment complex and the area near it. And a fun fact, by the way, he filmed this film in the apartment complex that he lived in back then, and in fact, the apartment that one of our main characters, Yoon-ju, lives in was the apartment that Bong Joon-ho lived in back then. The movie is also really well acted. In fact, the acting is one of the highlights of the film. And for example, Doona Bae's performance was great, and it was only her second film. Later on, she went and worked again with Bong Joon-ho in the movie The Host. Visually, the film also looks really good, and it is well shot. I can praise this film on the fact that it didn't have a predictable plot. Like, it's not one of those films where the plot is straightforward and you can have a pretty good idea about what's going to happen. However, I can see some people getting bored while watching this film, and it is an hour and a 50-minute long film, and it would be better, I feel like, if it was only an hour and a half long. But regardless of all that, I was actually never bored by this film. I watched it easily, and in fact, it was exciting at some parts. Overall, Barking Dogs Never Bite is not a flawless film, but it does have moments of greatness and some clever scenes in which you can see the potential of back then young director Bong Joon-ho. And it manages to tell a weird and a unique story, and at the end of the day, it is what Bong Joon-ho loves doing and wants to do in his film career.
I want to be Hitchcockian, Alfred Hitchcock. I really want to make something we've never seen.
And so Bong Joon-ho's feature film debut, Barking Dogs Never Bite, gets a 7 out of 10. I honestly thought that I was done talking about Bong Joon-ho's films, and then I realized that there was this film, his feature film debut, and I thought to myself, how can I ignore it? You know, I watched it out of curiosity, and it was decent. It wasn't flawless, but it showed his potential. as I already stated. It is not a film that I would recommend to a person who's just getting into Bong Joon-ho's filmography. Definitely there are way better films. It's in fact his weakest film in my opinion. Mother, Memories of Murder, Parasite, The Host, Okja, Snowpiercer, all of those films are way better and you should watch them first. But if you're a Bong Joon-ho fan, if you haven't seen this one, it's worth checking out. At this point, I've reviewed every single Bong Joon-ho film except Snowpiercer and Okja, and it's just because those were the first two Bong Joon-ho films that I saw way back before Parasite came out. And when I saw Parasite for the first time in the summer of 2019, afterwards I started reviewing films that I hadn't seen before, like Memories of Murder, The Host, and Mother. All of those films, they were brand new for me. And Snowpiercer and Okja were the first two of Bong Joon-ho's films that I've seen already, so I was like, I'm watching these new films and I'm going to review them along the way. That's why I never reviewed Snowpiercer and Okja, but I would love to rewatch them and review them just for the sake of completing my playlist of Bong Joon-ho reviews. But it kind of depends on you guys. Would you guys like me to rewatch those films and review them? Or should I just move on to other South Korean films? There are so many on my list, but I could rewatch those and talk about them as well. That'd be pretty interesting. Let me know. So that is it for this video, guys. Let me know down in the comments below, have you seen Barking Dogs Never Bite? If you have, what do you think about it? And if you haven't, what is your favorite Bong Joon-ho film? Let me know. I am curious. Also, I will have a link in my bio for my entire playlist of all the South Korean films that I've reviewed. And I will have a separate playlist on all the Bong Joon-ho films that I have reviewed. That includes Mother, Memories of Murder, The Host, Parasite, and now this. And also let me know if you would love me to review Snowpiercer and Okja. As I already asked you guys, please let me know. I'm curious. Or should I just, move on to other South Korean films, which there are a lot on my list. And the reviews for a lot of other South Korean films are coming soon. And if you don't want to miss my other movie and TV show related videos, subscribe to this channel. I've been talking for too long. Bye.
스스로를 만족시킬 수 있는 작품을 만들어 보라.